Cyber Reapers! Hello, Cyber Reapers! Real quick, before we start the actual video, I just wanted to say my book, it's a sci-fi thriller, YA young adult, is coming out in July, so if you want to pre-order it, you can. The cover is right here, and also, I'm looking for ARC readers, so if you are potentially interested in something of that genre, feel free to go to the link below. I have all the links in the description, all about that. Alright, I don't want to take up all the time of this video on my book because this is supposed to be about a different book, so I just wanted to say that though, because I'll say that pretty often from now on. Alright, thank you. So, yeah, I brought in some fancy little bracelets. They're not really fancy, they're just shiny, but I like them, and I think they make some pretty decent noise. I'm hoping that it captures pretty well on this mic. I'm still pretty new to using objects in ASMR. I'm usually very much a talker, so I'm hoping it works out okay. We'll see. Let me know if you like it. So yeah, the plan is to talk about this book. It is called Bad Things Happen Here, and it is by Rebecca Barrow. And I actually read this book, was it 2 weeks ago? It's at least been a week, I know that, because I've read another book since. And that's a little unique for me because I usually will do a review video like this right after reading the book, so like a day or 2 or 3 after. So usually my thoughts are really fresh, but I needed a little bit of time for this one, I feel like, because the ending really struck me. And don't worry, this is a no spoiler video. I might talk a little bit though about how the ending made me feel, and if you want to skip that part, that's perfectly okay. I'll let you know the timestamp, and I'll let you know, like, talking ahead of time when I start talking about the ending. Well, how it made me feel, you know. So, yeah. And the reason I brought in these bracelets, I mentioned they're fancy. They're not really fancy, they're shiny. But the idea, the aesthetic is that, this book, it's a young adult, or a book for a young adult audience, and it's a thriller book, and it is set on an island that, I believe it's a fictional island, and it's called, Paris. To be clear, it's Paris as in Parris, so 2 R's, not to be confused with, say, Paris, France. But yeah, it's an island for the super rich, and yeah, so that was why I just felt like, you know what, let's bring shiny bracelets into this video. So that was my inspiration there. Thing is though, this island of Paris has kind of a dark underbelly. While everybody is all like, most of them are pretty super rich, and there's also the somewhat rich, and there's a little bit of, the book addresses a little bit on how, like, the main character is part of a super rich family, and there's another character who's part of, like, the less rich family, and so, they talk about dynamics there with that. I think I'll get to that more later, though. But the idea here is that, on this island, there have been some tragedies over the past several years, really. And it seems like there's a tragedy that happens, more than once a generation, really. So, for example, the main character, her name is Luca, and, by the way, if you're looking for a book with a, sorry, I'm trying to remember, because there's actually a lot, there's a lot of, like, marginalized identity in this one character. So, she is black, she is plus-sized, she is, this character has intrusive thoughts, but I don't think it was ever stated if Luca was diagnosed with a certain mental illness or condition or anything like that. But yeah, and also she is queer. Let's see, did I cover all the that's all the aspects I can remember. But yeah, main character Luca, teenage girl, and she is, oh, to note also, the island is mostly a bunch of white families, so her family being, like, her being black and growing up there, she felt kind of othered already from that. And then, of course, there's the tragedy that happened to her best friend when she was growing up. Her best friend, Polly, was... Oh. I really should... Okay, I'm sorry, that was kind of irresponsible of me. I should clarify, this book is a thriller, but I should also probably mention, just in terms of things that I'll be talking about, and if you feel like any of this content is potentially triggering, please feel free to click off this video. I don't think there's a way for me to talk about the majority of the book without talking about the deaths that happen. Specifically, there are deaths of teenagers, so young people, and, okay, what else? I'm trying to think if there's any other content warnings I should give, just because, this is really, I mean, the style of this is supposed to be a relaxing video for you to be able to just kind of listen to me talk, me being a voice in the background if you want, but also if you want to pay attention, I don't want to startle you or alarm you with any of the content that I'm going to be talking about, so just a heads up, I'm going to discuss the book which revolves around death, and so just as a heads up. So where exactly was I with that? Polly, that's right. Okay, so Luca's the main character, right? Luca's best friend growing up. The best friend's name is Polly. Polly was found dead, and specifically she had, well, the police determined, sort of, with a very, very mild investigation, they didn't do enough, according to Luca. They determined that Polly had died drowning, and that the bruises on her were from being bashed around in the water. And so that was weird to Luca, though, because Polly was afraid of the water. Like, she wouldn't go in the water on her own accord. So Luca thought that was weird, and Polly's death wasn't the only one that had something weird about it. There have been other cases of, like, there was a teenage girl a few years prior to Polly's death, if I remember right, where she was locked in a house that was set on fire, and there were speculations going around that it was on purpose to kill her. And then there was another one, I think on a boat, where there was a teenage girl who was killed, or I don't know if it was explicitly said she was killed, but it appeared she had either died from alcohol poisoning, I want to say. I might be incorrect on that, but something to do with what she drank, I think, is what the police determined is what happened. And I think there might have been things going around or rumors going around of somebody else killing her. But yeah, so essentially that's the premise is kind of, you're on this, Luca is on this island, she grew up here, and just there's all these tales of actual events that happened, actual tragedies, actual deaths of these young people, and thinks of it as a curse on the island, or the island curses its inhabitants. Just overall, it feels like there's something larger than life happening here. Larger than life, is that the right phrase? Something weird going on here, you know? And so, yeah, and she worries that it might get her too. But yeah, there's a lot to parse through with this book, and I quite enjoyed it. Again, the ending left me a little funny. I won't talk about that just yet, but yeah, and that's kind of why I'm still sort of, I feel like I'm having more of a mental block on talking about this book, because I'm kind of going, there's a lot to parse through. But yeah, I very much recommend it if you are a fan of thriller books with, like, I mean, the island's sort of mysterious setting. Books that talk about mental health and racism and I should know this word. The word is eluding me. Discrimination against queer people. That word. I can't believe I can't remember that right now. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, it dives into heavy themes, especially about privilege, and who gets to be believed at the end of the day. If it's like one person's word against another's word, or another's person, like, who do you believe? Because there's a whole lot of layers of Luca discovering that the people around her she grew up with aren't exactly who she thinks they are. There's always some more secrets out there that she keeps finding. But now onto the why. Why is she poking around, right? So to start, I mentioned that Polly had died. I believe the book starts a year. I think it starts with... I don't want to get this wrong, but it's on the anniversary of Polly's death. So Luca... yeah, it starts on the anniversary of her death. I don't remember if it's been like 1 year or 2 or 3. But it's been a little bit of time since Polly, the best friend, died. And Polly lived right next door to Luca, so they were neighbors growing up. And the house that Polly lived in has been vacant since she died, because I believe her family moved out after she died. So Luca had been used to that house being uninhabited, right? But somebody moves in, and all of a sudden there's a new girl in town, and her name is Naomi. And Luca kind of immediately notices her, because everybody kind of knows everybody on the island, especially those who are around each other's age. And so Luca notices Naomi and goes, huh, I don't remember seeing her around here. And especially because Naomi is Asian, so I just realized I don't know if Paris is supposed to be set in America, or I don't know where in the world. Because I was just thinking, usually you say Asian American, or at least I've been told that's how you refer to an Asian American person, as in somebody of, say, Asian descent who is an American citizen. But now that I think about it, I don't know where Paris is. Naomi could be Asian European. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I'm a bit of a tangent, but yeah, Naomi moves in, and Luca immediately kind of befriends befriends her. Although, at first, Luca doesn't want to like her just because Luca wants to honor Polly's memory, and in part of, like, teenage girl honoring memory thing, it's kind of, at first she feels like, maybe I shouldn't try to be friends with her, because isn't that kind of dishonoring Polly's memory, by liking the girl who is going into her house and living in her room now, or wherever, you know. But Luca quickly moves past that and is like, well, actually, I kind of like Naomi. She's kind of nice, or kind of cool, you know. And even more so, Luca starts developing a crush on Naomi. So, but yeah, they end up going to a party. Luca and Naomi, and also Luca's sister Whitney. And yeah, they go to a party. And Luca kind of, you know, introduces the reader to different people that Luca knows. So, yeah, just kind of setting up for the event the events that are to come. And yeah, Whitney was last seen on that night, and then she turns up dead. So, Luca's sister, Whitney, dies that night, the night of the party. And she is found, I don't remember exactly where she was found, but she was found. And she was found with, I think, if I'm remembering right, kind of bruises around her neck, and some other bruises, I think. So yeah, that's kind of what starts the set of events, where Luca finally goes, you know what, no, I need to know what caused this, and kind of to put her mind at rest, because really Luca the whole time is going, at the same time of grieving her sister, and grieving Polly, her best friend, Luca's thinking, is the curse after me next? Is the curse gonna take away everything from me? Because, yeah, it's, she's grieving, but she dives into, her grief fuels her need to know exactly what happened to her sister, because she already felt like Polly's death was not investigated well enough, and so she thinks, there's no way that she's gonna let the police sweep this under the rug as well for her sister. So she goes around and investigates on her own. She goes asking people who were there at the party, trying to figure out what was going on, and as she does, she uncovers more and more about the people she knows, secrets, and even secrets about her sister, that she thought, there's no way this could be true, because my sister would have told me. But, yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that Luca discovers, and there's a lot of just, she needs to kind of grow to understand that, how do I put this into words? You know what, actually, I'm going to leave that to you, because I think she does have character growth, but I think I'm a little too distanced from my memory on this story, I think, to really remember how to articulate what it is that I felt about her character growth, but I liked it. So I hope you are okay with just me saying vibes. I liked the character growth. I can't remember how to articulate what it was that she learned, but yeah. Yeah, in addition to the characters having secrets, and layers to each secret, I really liked that there were some characters that genuinely annoyed me. And I mean that in the author made me feel that way, kind of a way, not the author meant to make this character likable, but it didn't work. Like, it was very much on purpose. Or at least, I highly doubt it was not on purpose. Like, there were certain characters that were very gossipy and just, yeah, I'll leave that aspect of that. And then there was a case where, I think in about the middle of the book, I won't say exactly the specifics of what happened, but it involved, you could very much tell that this other character was being racist, but you couldn't call them out on it, or Luca couldn't call them out on it because it, again, how do I say this without spoiling the scene? Because I think that's a very poignant scene where I just felt so angry on Luca's behalf. Because, like, how could you even think that? How could you even think that way of Luca, you know? Only then to later figure out that this character was actually in on setting this situation up. Yeah. Anyway, without going into too many details, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, that scene really made me feel. Yeah. And, yeah, in addition to, making me feel, another thing that made me feel, really connected to the story was its nuanced depiction of the queer romance. So I won't give a lot of details on that, just because I think that's also kind of spoilery in its own way. But yes, there is a queer romance, and it's really great how... No spoilers. It's really great how the relationship explored boundaries and I think consent as well, if I'm thinking of the right scene. But yeah, boundaries, consent, and also just, when I say it was nuanced as well, it wasn't it didn't feel like it was too... How do I put this? As a queer person, I like stories that depict healthy queer relationships where the characters are lovey-dovey and happy and stuff. I like that, believe me, I do. But I also feel like sometimes there are a lot of cases where it goes into that, and some people really reject the idea of having queer relationships that aren't idealized, I guess, or aren't perfect in fiction. And I'm not sure how to better put that without explaining the thing that I think might be sort of a spoiler in this book. Yeah. Anyway, it's nuanced. That's what I'll say. And I really enjoy that in particular because it's nuanced for a young adult audience as well. So, and I think it's super important to, for a young adult audience to, like, to see that. It's important, I think, in terms of boundaries and knowing that even though, spoiler, no, I gotta stop. Okay, yeah, I just think it's important for young audiences to see relationships like this, especially queer ones. Yeah. And what else? Yeah, I liked also how Paris, the island, felt. It kind of felt like it had its own sort of gloomy, sort of moody atmosphere. There were specific places in particular. There's like this tree where I believe the names of tragedies or the deaths that the curse had taken, especially with I'll explain. The tree is, I think, the most poignant setting thing in my mind, that had the names carved of all the people who died due to the curse. And I mean, the curse is not just a thing that Luca thinks to call it. Like, it is the people of the island kind of call it the curse, and it's kind of muttered about like almost like these people are ghost stories, except they were actual people. So yeah, and I think I'm going to talk about the ending now, by the way. So as a heads up, if you don't want to hear about my feelings on the ending, again, I'm not going to talk about what happens. I'm going to talk about how I felt about it, and pretty vaguely. So just a heads up. If you want to skip that, though, feel free to go to this timestamp. So yeah. Alright, talking now. So in terms of the ending and how it made me feel, I had to sit for a few days and kind of consider whether I liked the ending. Straight up because it left me feeling kind of convoluted. Thematically, I think it was great. I think it worked perfectly well for the story. I think there was just like one element that in universe I would be kind of going, I don't know if I feel good about that, you know? But it's not a real life story, it's fiction, so I don't know why I entirely feel that way, you know? Anyhow, though, it feels like a poetic ending, though. I think it works, and it works to tell the thematic story it was trying to tell, especially when it comes to privilege, because the whole island is made up of a bunch of people who are privileged. They are rich, or they are part of rich families, but also the children of those families don't really choose what life they were born into, you know? So if you like stories with kind of themes like that, and that kind of talk about discrimination based in, you know, class, gender, mental health stuff, race, sexuality, I think this book is a really good one for young adults in particular, to be able to relate to the main character's grief and her sense of really like wanting to get to the bottom of things, but also feeling the frustration of there's always more secrets to learn and more to learn about people, and just things not unfolding the way you necessarily want them to. But yeah. So I'm still mulling over, is that the right word? I'm still thinking through the ending, or my feelings on the ending in my head. And I think that's kind of a sign of something interesting, actually, because I don't really do that very often with endings. I don't usually feel all that emotionally conflicted, I guess. So I'd be interested in hearing other people's opinions on the ending as well. But yeah, so anyway, I think that about covers it for all that I was going to talk about. Yeah, and I'm still kind of recovering from health stuff, so I hope you forgive that this video is a little shorter than usual. I hope maybe to make the videos a little more concise anyway, and I think I hit all of the things that really stuck out to me about this book, and I really loved all of these aspects. So yeah, I'd be curious to hear your opinions about it. Yeah, so alright, thank you for listening, and may you get where you need to go. I'll give you a little more of these sounds for a little bit.